Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019. Today I'm going to recap the men's and women's Australian Open and then look ahead to tonight's matches, and then we'll do college basketball, NBA, and NHL, a baseball trade that finally became official, go over the Super Bowl line, and I'm going to close the podcast by discussing if I had a Major League Baseball Hall of Fame ballot, who I'd vote for, and who I think will be announced tonight as Hall of Famers, followed by my best bet. All right, to tennis we go. We'll start with the men's side. I've been starting with the women's side, but we'll start with the men's on today's podcast. Quarterfinals. Stefano Tsitsipas defeats Roberto Bautista Agut. Bautista Agut had a great run. Tsitsipas moves on to the semifinals. Good for him. He's been on an incredible roll. And then Rafael Nadal defeated Francis Tiafoe. Tonight we have Milos Raonic against Lucas Pialet. And then the overnight is Novak Djokovic against Kei Nishioka. I'm going to take Milos Raonic over Lucas Pialet. Raonic is your 16th seed and Pialet is the 28th seed. And Nishioka and Djokovic is a good one too. Nishioka's had a great run. I think it comes to an end against who I think is the best men's tennis player on the planet right now in Djokovic. To the women's side of the quarterfinals, some very interesting results. Danielle Rose Collins defeated Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. Pavlyuchenkova, great run. Danielle Rose Collins has been on a magical run thus far. And then 8-seeded Petra Kvitova defeated 15-seeded Ashley Barty. Barty had a great run, but Kvitova moves on. And then tonight, 7 o'clock, you have 4-seeded Naomi Osaka against 8-seeded Alina Svitolina. This is tough. I'm going to go with Naomi Osaka here to advance, although I think this is going to be a great match. 9 o'clock tonight, you have 16-seeded Serena Williams against 7-seeded Karolina Pliskova. Serena's on a great run right now. I'm not betting against her, so give me Serena Williams to upset, or not really upset, Kristina Pliskova. Serena's actually favored in the match, according to Vegas. And in the semifinals on both sides begin tomorrow. We're going to go to college basketball now. Going to go over the results. Harvard defeated Howard 84-71. Harvard 7-7, Howard 8-12. Winthrop defeats UNC Asheville 66-45. Winthrop 13-6, UNC Asheville 2-18. Fairleigh Dickinson defeats St. Mary's, or Mount St. Mary's 87-69. Fairleigh Dickinson 7-11. Mount St. Mary's 4-15. St. Francis Brooklyn defeats LIU, Brooklyn 79-70. St. Francis 12-7, LIU 9-9. Robert Morris defeated Central Connecticut State 70-59. Robert Morris 10-9, Central Connecticut 8-11. Sacred Heart defeated Wagner 62-38. Sacred Heart 8-11, Wagner 8-9. Yes, 62-38. That's a crazy final score. That's not a misprint. Presbyterian defeats South Carolina Upstate 68-59. Presbyterian 12-9, South Carolina Upstate 5-16. Old Dominion defeats Charlotte 76-70. Old Dominion 15-5. Charlotte 5-13. NC Central defeats Morgan State 92-64. NC Central 9-10. Morgan State 7-12. Florida A&M defeats Delaware State 60-47. Florida A&M 6-14, Delaware State 3-16. Bethune-Cookman defeats Maryland Eastern 89-68. Bethune-Cookman 8-11. Maryland Eastern Shore 3-18. Bryant defeats St. Francis, Pennsylvania, 76-67. Bryant 6-11. St. Francis, Pennsylvania, 7-10. Michigan State defeats Maryland, 69-55. The number 6 team in the country goes to 17-2, and the number 13 team in the country drops to 16-4. Number 11, North Carolina defeats number 10, Virginia Tech, 103-82. North Carolina 15-4, Virginia Tech 15-3. Prairie View defeats Grambling 83-66. Prairie View 7-11, Grambling 9-10. NJIT defeats North Florida 76-72. NJIT 15-5, North Florida 9-12. Liberty defeats North Alabama 72-47. Liberty 17-4, North Alabama 7-14. Florida Gulf Coast defeats Stetson 87-65. Florida Gulf Coast 7-13. Stetson 4-16. Radford defeats Longwood 72-59. Radford 14-6. Longwood 12-9. Marist defeats Manhattan 62-46. Marist 7-11. Manhattan 4-15. Texas Southern defeats Jackson State 75-65. Texas Southern 8-10. Jackson State 6-13. Lipscomb defeats Kennesaw State 86-57. Lipscomb 14-4. Kennesaw 3-17. North Carolina A&T defeats Coppin State 80-71. NCAT 10-9. Coppin 3-18. Norfolk State defeats South Carolina State 74-69. Norfolk 11-10. SC State 4-17. Rutgers defeats Nebraska 76-69. Rutgers 9-9. Nebraska 13-6. Alcorn State defeats Arkansas Pine Bluff 74-69. Alcorn 6-12. Pine Bluff 6-12. Creighton defeats Georgetown 91-87. Creighton 11-8. Georgetown 12-7. Number 9 Kansas defeats number 24 Iowa State 80-76. Kansas 16-3. Iowa State 14-5. Baylor defeats West Virginia 85-73. Baylor 12-6. West Virginia 9-10. Southern defeats Mississippi Valley State 80-56. Southern 3-16. Mississippi Valley State 3-16. Northern Colorado defeats Idaho State 77-53. Northern Colorado 12-7. Idaho State 7-9. And Western Kentucky defeats Marshall 68-59. Western Kentucky 10-9. Marshall is 12-7. American and Boston University is postponed due to weather. Tonight's slate is a reasonable amount of games, not too big, not too small. 6:30 on the SEC Network, number 16 Auburn at South Carolina. I think this is a trap game for Auburn. Give me South Carolina an 8.5, and I think South Carolina wins outright. 7 o'clock on the Big Ten Network, Minnesota at number 5 Michigan. I think Michigan wins and covers. Minnesota, I'm not impressed of late. They probably should have lost at home to Penn State the other day. Number 22, Mississippi State against number 8, Kentucky, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Kentucky's a 7-point favorite. I think they win and cover. I really like how the Wildcats have been playing of late. 14, Texas Tech at Kansas State, 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Kansas State is the best unranked team in the country right now, and I think they're going to win this game going away. Fox Sports 1, number 18, Villanova at Butler. Butler's a 1.5 favorite. This is the rare instance where the underdog on the road is the better team, so give me Villanova to remain undefeated in the Big East. ACC Network, Notre Dame at Georgia Tech. Notre Dame's favored by 3.5. I think Notre Dame's going to look past Georgia Tech, so give me Georgia Tech to win. Miami of Ohio at Ball State. Western Michigan at Ohio. ESPNU, Clemson at Florida State. Florida State's a 6-point favorite. I think Florida State's due for a big performance at home, and I believe they'll get it and they'll cover the 6. Toledo at Kent State. Bowling Green at Eastern Michigan. Central Michigan at Akron. Number 14, Buffalo at Northern Illinois at 8 o'clock. I think Buffalo's going to win and they'll cover the 8. St. Peter's at Niagara. CBS Sports Network, Wichita State at South Florida. South Florida, 2.5-point favorites. They're 12-6 on the year. South Florida needs a game to get itself, ride the ship a little bit. They've fallen off since conference play after a surprising non-con. So give me South Florida at home against a weaker than usual Wichita State team. 8:30 on SEC Network, Texas A&M at Florida. Florida's favored by 11.5. A&M is arguably the worst team in the SEC this year, so give me Florida to win and cover the 11.5. My favorite game on tonight's slate, 9 o'clock on ESPN, number 2 Duke at Pitt. Duke's favored by 13. The storyline of this game is Jeff Capel against Duke. And Duke is the better team, led by Zion Williamson and RJ Barrett. I think they win and cover, although I'm going to have egg on my face if Pitt wins outright and covers easily. ACC Network, Wake Forest at number 3, Virginia. Virginia is favored by 21.5. I think Virginia is going to win and cover. They are a cover machine at home. Number 20, Ole Miss at Alabama on ESPNU. Bama is actually a 1-point favorite. I think Ole Miss is the better team, getting the point. So give me Ole Miss to get the win on the road. Boise at Air Force. Boise's a 4.5-point favorite. I think Air Force covers, but Boise wins. Big Ten Network, Indiana at Northwestern. Northwestern's a 1-point favorite. Indiana is in a bit of a dire strait right now for a good win. And I think they get it here against a Northwestern team that is inferior to them. Romeo Langford will be the best player on the court in this game. 10 o'clock CBS Sports Network. New Mexico and UNLV. UNLV is a 6.5-point favorite. I think they win and cover. They're the better team. San Diego State at Fresno. Fresno's a 7-point favorite. It's at 11 o'clock ESPNU. I'm going to say Fresno wins, but San Diego State covers. Now I'll move on to the NBA. Yesterday was a big day in the league. A lot of games, a lot of matinee games for Martin Luther King Day. TNT had a triple header. The Thunder defeat the Knicks 127-109. A game that Oklahoma City couldn't afford to lose. They're 28-18. New York's 10-35. Paul George, 31 points, 4 boards, 4 assists. Jeremy Grant, 16 points, 6 boards. Steven Adams, 10.7 boards. Russell Westbrook, 17 points, 10 boards, 9 assists. Dennis Schroeder had 17 off the bench. And with 16 off the bench, Abdel Nader. Meanwhile, for New York, Tim Hardaway Jr., 23 points. Emmanuel Mudiay had 14. Noah Vonleh had 10 with 5 boards. Off the bench, Enes Kanter had 11. And Alonzo Trier had 16 with 8 assists and 6 boards. So a good all-around game for the rookie from Arizona. The Bulls defeat the Cavaliers 104-88 in the Tankathon. So the Cavs get the ping pong balls here as it's perceived. The Bulls go to 11-36. The Cavs drop to 9-39. Zach LaVine, 25 points. Chris Dunn had 13 with 9 assists. Lauri Markkanen had 13 with 8 boards. Bobby Portis off the bench had 15. Jabari Parker off the bench had 10. Meanwhile for Cleveland, Colin Sexton at 18. Ante Zizic had 13. Off the bench, Cameron Payne had 11. And Jordan Clarkson had 12. The Wizards defeat the Pistons 101-87, a much-needed win for Washington. They're 20-26, and so is Detroit. Trevor Ariza, 12 points, 12 boards. He's been a fine addition for Washington. Jeff Green had 11, as well as Thomas Bryant with Bryant's 12 boards. Bradley Beal had 16. Thomas Satoransky had 10 with 8 assists. Otto Porter Jr. off the bench had 19. Sam Decker off the bench had 11. Blake Griffin had 29 with 9 boards. Reggie Bullock had 12 with 7 boards. Andre Drummond did not play. And the bench didn't do anything. The Bucks defeat the Mavericks 116-106. Milwaukee is 34-12. Dallas drops to 20-26. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 31 points, 15 boards, 5 assists. Brook Lopez, 16 points and 10 boards. Chris Middleton, 13 with 8 boards. Eric Bledsoe had 21. Malcolm Brogdon had 19, and off the bench, Sterling Brown had 11. Meanwhile for Dallas, Luka Doncic, 18 points, 11 boards, 10 assists. That was his first career triple-double, even though it came in defeat. DeAndre Jordan, 15 points and 15 boards. Jalen Brunson had 16 with 5 assists. Wesley Matthews had 15, and off the bench, Dorian Finney-Smith had 13. The Magic defeat the Hawks 122-103. Orlando 20-27, Atlanta 14-32. Nikola Vucevic 29 points and 14 boards. DJ Augustine had 15. Evan Fournier had 29 with 7 assists. Tyson Ross had 16 off the bench, and then for Atlanta, John Collins had 14 with 10 boards. DeAndre Bembry had 11 with 7 assists. Dwayne Dedmon had 24 with 9 boards. Trae Young had 21 with 6 assists. And Jeremy Lin off the bench had 15. The Nets defeat the Kings 123-94. Another impressive win for the Brooklyn Nets. They're 25-23. Sacramento's 24-23. D'Angelo Russell, 31 points and 8 assists. Rodions Caruso had 16. Joe Harris had 19 with 7 boards. Off the bench, Spencer Dinwiddie had 11. Shabazz Napier had 10. Willie Cauley-Stein had 12. Buddy Hield had 11. Justin Jackson off the bench had 14. And Bogdan Bogdanovic off the bench had 22. The Pelicans defeat the Grizzlies 105-85 in the first of the 3 TNT games. New Orleans is 22-25. Memphis is 19-28. Drew Holiday, 21 points and 11 rebounds. Jahlil Okafor had 20 with 10 boards. Julius Randle had 20 with 12 boards. Anthony Davis didn't play. I'm just noticing this right now. That makes it an even more impressive win for the Pelicans. And Nikola Mirotic off the bench at 21. Memphis got off to a fast start in this game, too. Mike Conley had 20, Marcus Gasol had 22, Jaren Jackson Jr. had 14, and their bench didn't do anything. The Celtics defeat the Heat 107-99. Boston goes to 29-18. Miami drops to 22-23. Kyrie Irving had 26 with 10 assists. Al Horford had 16 with 12 boards. Jason Tatum had 19. Marcus Morris had 17. Bench didn't do anything. Josh Richardson had 11. Daniel Jones Jr. had 18 off the bench with 9 rebounds. Bam Adebayo had 13 off the bench with 7 boards. Dion Waiters had 18 off the bench. The 76ers killed the Rockets 121-93. A very impressive win for Philadelphia. They're 31-17. Houston 26-20. Joel Embiid was the best player on the court. 32 points and 14 boards. Jimmy Butler did not even play. J.J. Redick had 16. Corey Brewer had 11. Landry Shamet off the bench had 18. T.J. McConnell off the bench had 12. James Harden had his 37. Kenneth Faried had 13 off the bench in his Rockets debut. And Gerald Green off the bench had 18. The Trailblazers defeat the Jazz 109-104. An impressive win for Portland. They're 29-19. Utah's 26-22. Damian Lillard had 26 with 8 assists and 8 boards. Yusuf Nurkic, 22.7 assists, 8 boards. C.J. McCollum had 14. Jake Layman off the bench had 12. Evan Turner off the bench had 10. And meanwhile for Utah, Donovan Mitchell had 36. Jay Crowder had 15. Derek Favors had 12. Royce O'Neal had 11. Rudy Gobert off the bench, 10 points and 13 boards. Why is Gobert coming off the bench? And Ricky Rubio had 12 in his return game. Understandable, Rubio coming off the bench in his first game back, but Gobert coming off the bench is crazy. And last but not least, the Warriors defeat the Lakers 130-111 in the third and final game of the TNT tripleheader. Golden State's 33-14, Lakers 25-23. They're in a bit of trouble. They need LeBron back ASAP. Klay Thompson had 44 points, including 10 three-pointers. Stephen Curry had 11 points and 12 assists. A very bad game by his standards. Low-lighted by him slipping while attempting to make a layup and the ball landing in the hands of Kevin Durant as he passes the ball to Curry after he gets up and absolutely airballs a 3. It's a funny but not so funny highlight for Steph. Kevin Durant had 20 with 6 boards. Their bench didn't do anything. Meanwhile, for LA, Kyle Kuzma had 16. Brandon Ingram had 17. Michael Beasley off the bench had 15. Ivica Zubac off the bench had 18. JaVale McGee off the bench had 10. Only 4 games tonight on the slate. 7 o'clock, the Kings at the Raptors. 8 o'clock, NBA TV. The Trailblazers at the Thunder. 8:30, the Clippers at the Mavericks. And 9 o'clock, the Timberwolves at the Suns. The NHL. Only 4 games yesterday. The Predators defeat the Avalanche 4-1. An impressive road win for Nashville, 29-18-4. Colorado drops to 22-19-8. Number 1 started the game with 35 saves on 36 shots, Pekka Rinne. Number 2 started the game with a goal, Victor Vritzen. Number 3 started the game with the goal, Alexander Kerfoot. The Kings defeat the Blues 4-3. That was the NBCSN game yesterday. LA 20-26-4. St. Louis 21-22-5. Number 1 started the game with a goal and assist, Anze Kopitar. Number 2 started the game with 2 assists, Brendan Leipzig. And the number 3 started the game with 2 assists, Ivan Bershev. The Wild defeat the Golden Knights 4-2. An impressive road win for the Minnesota Wild. 25-21-3. Vegas was 29-18-4. Number 1 started the game with a goal, Charlie Coyle. Number 2 started the game with 2 assists, Colin Miller. Number 3 started the game with an assist, Paul Stastny. The Panthers defeat the Sharks 6-2. A nice win for Florida. They are 20-20-8. San Jose's 28-16-7. Number 1 started the game with a goal and 3 assists, Frank Vatrano. Number 2 started the game with 3 assists, Alexander Barkov. Number 3 started the game with a goal, Keith Yandel. Big slate tonight. Oh, I'm sorry. No. It's a 5-game slate, so it's not big. It's a slightly bigger from yesterday. 7 o'clock, the Sharks at the Capitals. 7:30, the Coyotes at the Senators. 8:30, the Islanders at the Blackhawks. 9 o'clock, Hurricanes Flames. And on NBCSN, the Red Wings at the Oilers. The Oilers are a team that is desperate, and they absolutely have to have this game at home against a bad Red Wings team. So give me Connor McDavid to lead the way for the Oilers. Now I'm going to talk about a trade that happened yesterday that finally got finalized. Sonny Gray was traded from the New York Yankees to the Cincinnati Reds. Going back to New York is the 36th pick in the draft, and a prospect, Shed Long, who the Yankees immediately flipped in a separate deal with the Seattle Mariners for outfield prospect Josh Stowers, who was a top 10 Mariners prospect. I'm surprised that the Yankees flipped Long so quickly for Stowers. But at the same time, the issue here is that Long was on the Reds' 40-man roster, and Stowers was not on the Mariners' 40-man. So the Yankees flipped Long for Stowers. So I wonder if Stowers will be used as an asset in another trade going forward, or he could be a surprising impact player for the Yankees in the future. Meanwhile, for Cincinnati, it's a good risk trade, per se, because Gray was so bad in Yankee Stadium but was decent on the road. But the case against this trade is that Great American Ballpark is not a pitcher's ballpark either. This is what I don't get with the Reds, but they're trying to be competitive. Maybe it's just a Yankee Stadium thing with Gray, but it could be a smaller ballpark thing with Gray. But the case for it being just a Yankee Stadium problem is that Gray pitched well in Camden Yards last year when the Yankees played the Orioles, but the Orioles were so bad, so maybe those stats were skewed. But we'll see. And then Gray agreed to a 3-year, $30 million extension with Cincinnati as well, a part of the trade. And the other wild card in this, from a Yankees perspective, is the 36th pick in the draft. So they get a compensatory pick. And let's say the Yankees surprise us and sign Bryce Harper, which I don't think they're doing, by the way. But say if they were to do that, they would have to give up a second-round pick. And then they would have that compensatory pick from the Reds to fall back on. So there's that. And then Machado's not worth the draft pick because he was traded in the middle of last season. Now I want to talk about the line for the Super Bowl. The Guess the Line, my last Guess the Line until maybe we'll do the game for the NCAA tournament. We'll guess the lines in those games once March Madness rolls around. That was fun doing that. The Rams and the Patriots, I'm going to say that the Patriots are currently 2.5-point favorites against the Los Angeles Rams. I think the Patriots should be favored because they have the more experienced head coach and quarterback in this situation rather than the Rams. Both of these teams could have lost their respective games, but my argument is that the Rams really shouldn't be here because the referees helped them out by giving the Saints a call or a non-call that they didn't deserve. And the league came out and apologized immediately after the game. And right now, the New England Patriots are currently 1.5 favorites, so I was off by 1 whole point. And by the way, the Rams actually opened as a 1.5-point favorite, and then all the money started coming in on New England. So that's why New England is favored, because it's the recency bias. The line comes out as Rams minus 1.5, and then everyone just saw the Patriots and had the Rams shouldn't be there thing in their head. So that explains why New England's favored. Before I get to my best bet, I want to talk about the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame class will be announced tonight at 6 o'clock on the MLB network. I'm going to go through the ballot, and then I am going to give you my fake ballot, and then I'm going to predict who they will announce tonight. The ballot is Rick Ankiel, Jason Bay, Lance Berkman, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Freddie Garcia, John Garland, Travis Hafner, Roy Halladay, Todd Helton, Andrew Jones, Jeff Kent, Ted Lilly, Derek Lowe, Edgar Martinez, Fred McGriff, Mike Messina, Darren Oliver, Roy Oswalt, Andy Pettit, Juan Pierre, Platico Polanco, Manny Ramirez, Mariano Rivera, Scott Rowland, Kurt Schilling, Gary Sheffield, Sammy Sosa, Miguel Tejada, Omar Vizquel, Billy Wagner, Larry Walker, Vernon Wells, Kevin Youkilis, and Michael Young. If I had to make up my own ballot, I would vote for Barry Bonds. Yes, he was a steroid user. It's well documented. But he was one of the better hitters in his generation. And he brought so much to the San Francisco Giants franchise after they signed him as a big money free agent. He was also a good Pittsburgh Pirate as well. Roger Clemens. Guy's a winner. Yes, he was a steroid user too. But that guy always pitched really well in big games. He was a Red Sox. He was a Yankee. A Toronto Blue Jay. And a multi-time world champion. Roy Halladay. Rest in peace. He was a fantastic pitcher in his prime with the Blue Jays and with the Phillies. And he really does belong. He had the perfect game, a no-hitter in the playoffs with the Phillies. I believe he did pitch a perfect game with the Phillies too, but I think that was regular season. Edgar Martinez was a great player in his heyday with the Seattle Mariners. And hitting in that ballpark that is Safeco Field is not easy to do. That's a pitcher's ballpark. Mariano Rivera, this is my lock. And the one that I really think is the most deserving of any first-year player on the ballot and any player on the ballot, period. The best closer in baseball history. The best postseason reliever ever. He's pitched in so many big games and pitched well in so many big games. Yeah, the 2001 World Series is the only blip on his career. And obviously the 04 ALCS. He blew a couple saves in that series too. But this guy's a legend. He belongs. And he has a chance to be the first unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. And that is just amazing. And Curt Schilling, who was a big part of the Red Sox breaking their long drought. He was a great pitcher for them and the Phillies back in his heyday. And who I think will get in, Roy Halladay and Mariano Rivera. Although I think Schilling has a chance, I honestly think Bonds and Clemens have a chance too. And I think Martinez has a chance. I think a couple guys I didn't vote for have a chance, like Gary Sheffield and even Mike Messina. Omar Vizquel, I think, has a chance to get in. But we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. And I can't wait till the results come out at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. And now my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. I won yesterday's best bet, courtesy of FanDuel. I had the Thunder, the Bucks, the Warriors, Harvard, Texas Southern, Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman, NCAT, and Rafael Nadal, and I won a payout of $5.61. Today, my payout is supposed to be $5.85 if I win, with a wager of $1.53. About plus 280. The Toronto Raptors, Michigan, Duke, Florida, Milos Raonic, Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, Petra Kvitova, and Serena Williams. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping who gets in the Hall of Fame and who doesn't get in the Hall of Fame. Obviously tennis, college basketball, NBA, and NHL. I'll talk about some other things tomorrow as well. Maybe I'll do NBA power rankings tomorrow. We'll see. I hope you guys have a great day.